So I didn't quite finish in the last video, sorry about getting cut off there. What I was discussing was how the Germans, or why the Germans lost in World War II. One of the things that I was discussing right as I got cut off was the fact that Germany is allied with a bunch of countries that essentially proved to be a liability for them. Italy is launching campaigns in Greece and Yugoslavia, which ultimately turn out to be failures. But they basically it means that Germany has to kind of involve itself in the Balkan region when it should have been focusing more of its attention on the Mediterranean, because we know that the British eventually drive them out of Egypt with the Battle of El Alamein. So because of Italy's campaigns in the Balkans, that ends up being a huge liability for Germany, and they're not successful militarily there. Also, the Allies end up invading Italy, and the Germans have to take control after that. And we know ultimately that Italy does not prove to be the best ally, because even Mussolini himself was caught and executed by his own people in 1944. We also know that when Japan attacks the U.S. At Pearl Harbor in 1941, this is going to draw Germany into the war against the U.S. And we already know, because of the Europe First campaign, when the Allies focus on defeating Germany in Europe before they focus on Asia, this proves to be disastrous for Germany. And we also know that Germany loses in World War II because the Grand Alliance itself is very overpowering. We know that the major countries involved, of course, were the US, Britain, and Russia, but there are about 40 other countries that are affiliated with the Grand Alliance. So just the sheer power in numbers makes it so that the Grand Alliance is very difficult for Germany to defeat. The alliance basically works together to achieve an unconditional surrender from Germany, which they are able to successfully do in May of 1945. So, essentially we see that because Germany was so aggressive in its early campaigns in the war, before the Allies ultimately were able to stop them, we saw with the invasion of Czechoslovakia, with the invasion of Austria. At first Germany sort of had, you could say, a head start, because the Allies did very little to stop Germany's aggression. But once Germany expanded rapidly into Western Europe because of their Blitzkrieg campaign, the Allied countries were able to successfully mobilize against them. And like we saw in World War II, the U.S. involvement was a major turning point in making sure that the Germans would not be successful. And we also we see that another reason why the Germans are not successful, of course, was because of the three-front war, which was not, of course, an ideal strategy for them. So important takeaways: the key turning points with Stalingrad, El Alamein, and D-Day. You should be familiar with sort of the road to war, the ultimate, the complicated causes. And then, of course, you should be familiar with the multiple reasons why Germany ends up losing. But what's more important is what's yet to come, that we will return to after this break when we discuss the Cold War. And then we will be wrapping up with a review unit before the AP exam. So I guess the end is in sight here.